Apple might be the most satanic company, and let me tell you why. The first Mac, the iMac, do you know how much it sold for? $666. That's 666. That's what it cost. You think that's just a fun number? No. Steve Jobs was exact with numbers. He picked that on purpose. Now look at the logo, a bitten apple. That's not just some design choice, that's the Bible, the fall of man. The moment sin entered the world, that's the symbol they went with. And then there's Siri. Say it backwards. Iris. What's your iris? Your eye. And what's the biggest symbol used in secret groups like the Illuminati? The one eye. Over and over again, same message. Now think, iPhone, that's not just internet phone, that's iPhone, E-Y-E. The eye is watching, always. So, let's put it together. You've got the number 666, you've got the apple with a bite, you've got the eye, the one eye, the iris, the iPhone, all connected. People think it's just cool tech. No, it's something else. It's a symbol, it's a system, and it's everywhere. And you carry it in your pocket.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
I don't understand why we have to pay to live on a planet we were born on. Think about it. You didn't sign a contract when you took your first breath. You didn't agree to rent space on Earth. So why does every part of survival, food, water, land, come with a price tag? And here's the real question. Who are we even paying? Who decided they owned the land, the water, the resources? Who stood up one day and said, "This all belongs to me and you owe me for existing"? Now look at water. Covers most of the planet. Falls from the sky, essential for life. Yet somehow people are dying of thirst. Instead of wasting billions on war, we could build desalination plants and give fresh water to everyone. The technology exists, but do we use it? No. Because if people could take care of themselves, they wouldn't be controlled. That's the truth. Scarcity is a lie. There's enough food, enough land, enough resources for everyone. But if people weren't desperate, governments, corporations, and banks would lose power. So they manufacture struggle. They make sure you're always working, always paying, always needing. You're not just paying to live, you're paying to stay in your cage.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
You come from a family that I've seen described online. I don't know if you describe it this way, but you come from a family that people have described it as a Illuminati family.
Mhm.
Is that how you would describe it?
That's not how I would describe it in the same way. I'll be honest. I think it's just a popular catchphrase that a lot of people are borrowing into. No, I come from a family that they believe they are descendants of the old gods. That's the best way to say it. That they believe that they are carriers of a seed line that gives them the divine right to rule. And that is what gives them justification spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, scientifically to dominate the lesser species known as humans. Humans literally means a lesser species of man. And they do not believe they are a human in the same way. They believe they are something other than. And that's descendants of this hierarchical ruling species that is from the celestial realm that descended in the days of Jared and came down and procreated with the daughters of men, and that they still trace their seed line back to Gilgamesh till Nimrod. And so this is what the dynastic families believe they have, is a superiority in their genetics on one side and the ability to commune with the divine. And so their children are progenitors of these, some might call them abreactions, mutations, these skills, psychic abilities, that kind of stuff, all variants of it. And so they raise up their children in this path with which involves a tremendous amount of shattering of the soul and the identity so that there's compartmentalization within, and it allows them the ability to train their child up in a way that makes them conducive towards the family. I call them the family. That's what I called them. It's a better word for mafia than anything else. But no, we didn't call ourselves, like my family wouldn't ever call themselves Illuminists.
Yeah.
Right? They're Luciferian. That's for certain. They worship Hillel ben Shahar, as he's really known, but different reasons than what people are ascribed to,
Interesting. All right. So I want you to start from the beginning of what your childhood was like and just walk us through this. But before you do, you just said something that I got to ask you before I forget. What they believe, do you believe is true in the sense of them being able to trace back their lineage to the fallen?
Some of them, yes. I believe they absolutely can.
Do you think that's in your blood?
I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe there's no way to physiologically necessarily. My blood's been augmented a lot over the years. I volunteered for a lot of stuff and said yes to everything that they could ever give me that would make me better than what I was. I was on a desperate quest for relief. And so I volunteered for all kinds of stuff. And I volunteered for stuff that was transhuman in its nature.
Really?
And it augmented me quickly, you know? And that was brutal because then there's this, I lived a lot longer than I expected. Let me just put it that way. I did not think I would ever see 18. Never even comprehended the idea that I would ever know a family that wasn't this other thing where the powers of control and access were given through the abuse of children. That's what I knew as normal. And I knew that people were corrupt and monsters and were willing to devour each other to rise to the top. I understood what wolves were when they ran the world. And so it was very hard for me to get to a place where I could believe that I could be redeemed because I had witnessed enough of things in the families that make it seem like I am irredeemable forever. And it took me, there was one book that made a massive difference in that, which was called The Gospel to Every Creature. And I believe it's written by John Darnell. It is very hard to find. I have a copy, but it's been scrubbed. And it's the good news to Nephilim, vampires, and transhumans, you know? And it helped me to see that maybe I wasn't anathema, that maybe just because I have the seed line in me, that maybe just because I'm a progenitor of the offspring of the fallen, that it doesn't mean that I'm not able to be redeemed, because no matter what, by blood or by belief, I believe that we have a Messiah that overcame and we can overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony and not living our lives when faced with death. And it was that powerful encounter with the Almighty, with the true judge of all the earth, who I can make an appeal to, who can give me a new bloodline, you know, and that's what he offers to everyone. Wow. And so I do believe that's available to those that come from these families.
That's wild.
If humans evolved from apes, then why do apes still exist? If Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, who took the famous photo of him stepping onto it? NASA, one of the most advanced space agencies, somehow lost the original recordings of the moon landing. Lost them. One of humanity's greatest achievements, gone. How? And if walking on the moon was so easy in 1969, why haven't we gone back? Why did 56 countries, rivals, enemies, superpowers, all agree to one thing? That no one can freely explore Antarctica. What's there? What are they hiding? How did ancient civilizations without modern tools build structures so perfect they still can't be replicated today? Why do Egyptian artifacts show images that look like spacecraft? Why do dragons appear in every ancient culture, across every continent, and even in the Bible? Coincidence? And why is there a connection between the pineal gland, the so-called third eye, and the pine cone symbols found in ancient Egyptian art? Why is the entertainment industry obsessed with symbols linked to demons, secret societies, and occult rituals? And in a world so advanced, so intelligent, so scientific, why are we sicker, sadder, and more controlled than ever before? Ask yourself. Question everything. And if you think you know the answer, prove it.
Alcohol means body-eating spirit. It's Aramaic. Okay, alcohol. It's not alcohol, it's alcohol. That's the proper translation. That's why it says spirits. Because when you drink alcohol, it is opening you up to a spiritual realm, allowing demons to enter you. If you're blacked out drunk, bro, alcohol is literally like the purest form of demon possession.
Wow.
Blacked out drunk is like, that's demon possession. And demons aren't used to being in bodies, so when you see somebody drunk, they're like, eh. It's because the demons doesn't walk in a human body like that.
And some people, when they're drunk, they get fighty. They want to fight people.
Because it's a freaking demon in them. It's not even them. In their body, they're fighting something that's fighting them. They've evoked a demon. Okay, what is alcohol? It's rotted juice. It's from the realm of death. it's gonna evoke something in you. And like, bro, it's bringing you into that realm. It's bringing you closer to the realm of dead. And then you start to see stuff. You start to experience things. Or alcohol, you get body-eating spirit. You get demons coming into you, controlling you. And this is what people are like fighting, and they don't realize how many things they're evoking.
Whatever the time does. I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved top radio and listened.
Talking about, you know, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop. And a few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. This was...
Look at the photo. You say that's me? Okay. Check out the name badge. It says Aldrin. Looks like you're right. But notice the helmet. Can you see my face? No.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Cypher?
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Cypher, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir, I don't have nothing to do with this.
Okay. You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Foods must be electrical. When you're eating cooked dead foods and your adrenals and thyroids and everything is down, how do you get to feel better? What are you doing to make yourself feel better? Nothing. Because you remember the law of homeostasis. So you're eating foods that are magnetically much lower than you are. You know, cooked vegetables are probably around 1,000 angstroms. When you look at the human being at 5,500, you probably have, you know, a lot of acidosis and deterioration in you. So you need about 6,500 angstroms of a human body radiating energy to be halfway smiling. So when you eat cooked food that's down about 1,000, you see what happens? The law. Remember spinning a wheel at 100 mile an hour and spinning a wheel here at 10 mile an hour? I put them together. They'll each start spinning the same, law of homeostasis, but the fast one slows down and the slow one speeds up until they can find that harmonious balance. So the first thing off is change your diet to living electrical foods. Vegetables take so much digestive energy for humans because we don't have the digestive tracts and stomachs of herbivores that fruit is our electricity. Fruits, berries, and melons. So that's why we push that.
You may have noticed I don't say God, Jesus, or Holy Spirit. Not because I'm trying to be edgy or high and mighty, but because I sought truth on my own. See, the name of the Father, Yahuwah, was removed thousands of times from Scripture. The Messiah's name wasn't Jesus. That's a Greek translation. His real name, most likely Yahusha, which means Yahuwah is salvation. In the Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart breath that leads us into all truth. Yahusha never said he'd send us a Bible. He said he'd send the Spirit to guide us. So I don't follow tradition, I follow the way. The names matter because the truth matters. Don't take my word for it. Seek, knock, dig in. He honors that.
Thank Congresswoman Marcia Fudge for hosting us.
Parar por aí.
Já estamos encomendados